Hello and welcome to the I Love You But podcast. I'm Heather and this is my sister,
Rian. Each week we will revisit relics of our childhoods using our multiple master's degrees
to critically evaluate the crap that consumed our misspent youth. So join us.
Sisters, latchkey kids, cuspers, and lazy feminists as we look back on our past to say, I love you, but...
Hey, this week we got to waste time together.
We did!
Yeah. I visited you for my birthday.
And what did you get for your birthday?
I got an infection, which sounds way more exciting.
Yeah, I got strep.
I missed my bag check by 7 minutes because I thought that the airport didn't open until 5 a.m. It opens at 4 a.m. And so I got to spend 6 extra hours in the Bluegrass Airport where I contracted strep in my throat. And
I have to tell you,
yes,
Ben was very confused at how that happened to you. He's like, how? And he didn't say this, but I know this is like the thought that was behind it. How, of all people, was Heather Davis 7 minutes late to check her bag and thus missing her flight? And I was like, I don't know. And I didn't ask because it wasn't going to help the situation.
Yeah, no, I literally in my brain believe that the Lexington airport opens at 5. And so I thought I don't have to get there before 5 because there's no point. I will say that the person who picked me up at 5 in the morning was not necessarily in the biggest rush to get to the airport. But, you know, that's what you get when you're relying on a ride service. So, yep, I got there at 5:22, and that
because your sister's an asshole and won't get up at 5 to take you to the airport.
I didn't say that. I would never expect anyone to get up that early and take me anywhere. But yeah, I should have checked. This is me practicing the 7 habits of highly effective people, owning the fact that I made a mistake and I should have checked what time the airport opened.
See, when he asked me what happened, every explanation that I hypothesized, none of them involved anything on your fault. I was like,
it was entirely my fault.
Ride was late.
Nope.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there was a wreck.
My ride got here later than I would have liked it to, but apparently I should have scheduled it earlier regardless. It was entirely my fault. Yeah. I mean, I felt like I could have tried to pull like an Alan Cumming in Spice World and been like, hey, today is the day when my checked bag is going to get checked at the gate anyway. Why don't you just let me through? But she did not seem in the mood for any kind of cuteness. So,
come on.
I know. It was a little frustrating, but it's entirely my fault.
Is it even a full flight? Is it a full flight?
Yeah, they're all full flights. Yeah. They're all full flights now. Yeah, everything's a full flight.
Frustrating.
It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
If I hadn't caught strep throat, I think it would be, it would be over and done with, but it's fine.
But at least you didn't catch feelings. Because in 2023, that's the worst thing you can catch.
Is that true?
I don't know.
Who said that?
I don't know.
Sociopathic monsters? Am I allowed to brag on you making a huge adulting choice, or do you want to do that?
Are you going to talk about how I'm supposed to be seeing Lizzo right this very minute?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay, we can't talk about this because this goes back to something in our trailer. So yes, I had a ticket to go see Lizzo tonight. I love Lizzo.
She loves you.
I paid. She does love me. She loves everybody. She's Lizzo. And I paid money for it. It was $100. It wasn't a great ticket, but it was $100. I was going to go with friends. And just like all this week, because it was like,
Your annoying sister.
No, we went to the beach for a week. We came back, and then you came to town, and we did East. And like, it's just been a lot of like like a lot of really awesome stuff happening. So like a lot of like activity, a lot of movement, a lot of going, a lot of like shit all over my house that hasn't gotten put away, a lot of me being around people nonstop when I am used to having like a fair, because even then before that, Elliot was sick. So I didn't get my normal break from him while he was sick. So it was like 3 weeks of having to constantly be a parent. Oh, Jesus Christ. Words, so it was just like a lot. And I ran out of my arthritis medicine this week, and it took a few days for it to get filled and for me to pick it up. So I'd been hurting really bad and just like exhausted every day.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I want to go, but it was like, and even at the last minute, I was like, well, maybe at the last minute I'll rally and I'll get really excited, or I'll listen to a song and be like, okay, I can do this. And I just was like, I just don't want to go.
Yeah.
And I'm supposed to go to another concert like on a night this week, and with some other friends who I haven't seen in a really long time. And it's like smaller, like this is in a giant arena. So then it was like, I was also stressed about like, how am I going to get there? And like, when am I going to, where am I going to park, and like the seating and having to squeeze in crowds and thousands of people. And if I take a bag, it has to be clear, and a beer's going to cost $100. It was just like, I don't want to deal with this. Like, I'd rather just watch Lizzo in my house,
Yeah.
So I made the choice to not go. And so I like posted about it. And then throughout the day, like I got more adamant in my not going as more and more middle-aged white women who I am friends with were like, you're not going? I'm going. It was like all these white women being like, I'm going. And I'm like, have white women stolen Lizzo?
White women always stole Lizzo.
I guess I didn't realize.
Yeah, white women and white women and gay dudes stole Lizzo.
Yeah, that's what I realized today.
Yeah.
And so I was like, no, fuck you, I'm not going. This white woman's sitting out. And then at the last minute, a friend who is a woman of color had messaged me, and I messaged her back, but I haven't heard anything. So I was like, she's like, how much? And I was like, it was like an hour ago. I was like, girl, you can have the ticket. Like,
yeah, just
give me an email. I'll just give it to you. And not because she's black, but just because there's no point. Like, I'd rather someone use the ticket. Like, it's not like my white guilt. Like, you can have it. And then like later in the day, another friend who is a woman of color was like, I'm here, I'm going. And this other person who's a woman of color. So that made me feel better, because that also meant that I'm not just friends with white people.
You're not just friends with white people.
I know, but I'm friends with a lot of white people.
I mean,
I did tell them though, and I don't think I even told you this story. So I was on Instagram, and I was going to show Elliot some idiot videos. I mean, pretty much some animal videos.
Mm-hmm.
And I follow Lizzo, who loves to have her booty out on her Instagram,
Mm-hmm.
And then I follow this other, person of color, woman of color, who does yoga. And like, she's so like she does, she's an OnlyFans account for her
Mm-hmm.
yoga. So she does like naked yoga on OnlyFans. So
wow.
She also has a very large, beautiful rear end. And like, I opened Instagram, and it was like her rubbing lotion all over her booty. And like, I was like, okay. And I like scrolled, and then Elliot was like, go back, I want to see the booty. I want to see that booty.
Oh no.
And they were like, yes, Elliot, he knows. I was like, and I did. I went back. I was like, okay, here, and it wasn't like all. It was like side booty.
But you talked about how that booty is attached to that person, and that person has agency, and you talked about all that, right?
Yeah, 100%, 1000%. Did not do that.
Uh-huh.
Anywho, so yeah, I'm glad you're proud of me. I think people are like, are you depressed? And I'm like, well, no, it's kind of the opposite.
Yeah, honestly. I remember that one time when we lived together at the place where we almost get kicked out for having our housewarming party. No, I'm not going to tell the housewarming party. But there was
don't tell any. I know what story you're going to tell. You're going to Go ahead.
How about the Friday night where you just like fucking took off to like Oklahoma or some shit?
So the band was like, we're going, and what's her face was like, hey, you want to go with us on our we're going to Tulsa tonight. And I was like, yeah, but I had to go to work. And so I called and told them that my aunt was in the hospital so that I couldn't come to work, which was actually true. Sorry, Aunt Diane.
Monster.
And I was just like, peace. And then they kept calling me and I wouldn't answer because I felt guilty. Yeah, so I took off to Tulsa and like didn't tell you where I was going and basically pieced out on work. And then they kept calling me and I wouldn't answer. And so then they called you and you were like, what the fuck is going on? You were like, where the fuck are you? And I was like, I'm in a van with a bunch of dudes that probably don't want me to be here. And I'm going to Oklahoma.
The end.
Yeah.
That was like a really, really long time ago. So
that was a very long time ago. I was like, what, 22, 23?
But like 2003, 2004, you would have totally been like, I'm going to Liz. I don't give a shit about any of this. Like,
well, I also was in a lot less physical pain than I didn't have arthritis.
Well, that's true. I guess we all grow up. Unlike the protagonist of the film we watched this week, 1981's Arthur, starring Dudley Moore and Liza Minnelli and Sir John Gielgud. What do you remember?
I remember to write stuff down. So first of all, when I told my students we were watching Arthur, because I was going to try to watch it at school with them, and then they were like, "Oh, you don't mean the cartoon?" And I was like, "No, I don't mean the cartoon, Arthur." With the whatever he is, what is he?
Aardvark? Anteater?
Is he an aardvark? I think he's an aardvark. And I was like, and also not the terrible Russell Brand remake.
Yeah.
But so then I had to look it up and read her the like synopsis, and she's like, that sounds amazing. And then my boss came in and made me work instead of us watching that. But that's okay.
No.
I remember, I know, right? The bathtub. I was gonna grade while I watched it.
Continue.
The bathtub, the butler, the piano, old lady hand tearing brown paper, the song. Toys, pixie cut, prostitutes, rich people.
So we say sex workers now.
Well, apparently in this movie, I was a little taken aback to hear the word hookers again for the first time in a long time.
I'm surprised you didn't say old people, because you almost always say old people, and there are old people.
I said old lady hand, like shaking the old claw, taking the brown paper off the veneer, whatever.
Yeah. I remember a butler, Liza Minnelli, an alcoholic, a piano, sex workers, an obnoxious laugh, the specific way that Dudley Moore says, Arthur.
Oh.
And I remember, if you know Susan, like I know Susan.
Like I know Susan.
I need a drink.
I need a drink. I almost put that and then I just put piano. I did write down the laugh with like big underlining because I'd forgotten about that.
It is a rapscallion laugh, and I did not enjoy it one bit.
I think as someone with a very distinct laugh, I appreciated it.
His jokes were not funny. Okay. No. Okay.
To full disclosure, I decided that I was going to drink while watching this because he drinks so much in the movie that I felt like I kind of had to. So I was drinking a glass of wine after having a nap and watching this.
Apparently, I should have been having hot toddies all day because I feel better now than I felt in a while, but I watched this stone cold sober as usual.
Oh, no.
So,
hot toddies are always.
Real quick synopsis.
Okay.
For those who don't know, Arthur Bach, played by Dudley Moore, is an almost billionaire who acts like a child and is a fucking drunk and won't get a job, won't take anything seriously, won't make a name for himself, blah, blah, blah. So,
well, I mean, I don't know if it won't. It has no impetus to.
Sure.
Why would he?
His dad and his grandma put the kibosh down. and
Put
say,
screws to him.
you're marrying this woman called Susan, or we're cutting you off. And then he meets a quirky woman who works at a restaurant and changes his life, and other things happen.
And other things happen. You should write for IMDb. And then other shit happens.
I just want to get some problematic stuff out of the way. Dudley Moore was married 4 times, and none of the marriages lasted more than like 5 or 6 years.
Yeah,
he was accused of domestic abuse and also of using crystal meth while married to his last wife. So
he died young, didn't he?
Yeah, he was like 60 something. He was pretty young. He had multiple problems.
Well, apparently.
But he died of pneummonia. But he got I don't think it was. No, because I think it was like the early 2000s. I thought
it was earlier than that.
I don't know. Don't quote me on any of this. Anyway, I just don't want to go into this being like, Dudley Moore, the delightful imp. Like, yes, he and Peter Cook had wonderful chemistry and are very funny together. But he is he
and Liza Minnelli have wonderful chemistry and are very funny together.
Sure.
Okay, this is going to be another one where we differ in our opinions of things. Maybe you should have had some NyQuil or something.
I will say that the sex workers in the very first scene had the 100% correct reaction to all of Arthur's bullshit. Like, 0 time. 0 time for him. Yeah. Absolutely correct.
Yeah. I like how the one was like, is there something wrong with him? Like implying that he had some kind of intellectual disability or something.
Well, I mean, it was a little Michael Jackson, like rich guy acting like a child, there was some of that going on.
Like, I did say like there is no subtlety in this movie.
What?
There's nothing subtle about this movie and like the point they're trying to make or like the character and what they're trying to say about it. Like there's fucking toys everywhere.
Yeah, I have a note later that so what they tell you for all narrative is that you show, you don't tell, right? I mean, obviously we tell, as a podcast we tell, but
yeah,
ideally. So for instance, there's a movie called The Verdict. Paul Newman plays a down on his luck, kind of not so great lawyer. The first scene, he's drinking in a bar and playing a video game. And then after that, he's like chasing an ambulance. And they don't have to have 15 different people tell you that he can't really get his life together and he's lonely and he needs to make some changes. Whereas in Arthur, every single person tells you that Arthur is lonely and Arthur is sad and Arthur needs to make some changes and he drinks too much. And like everyone
and he's
said,
basically a man-child.
Yeah, that's right. Everyone said everything all the time in this movie. Yeah, there was no nuance or subtlety. Correct. You're accurate there.
And then it was visual as well. So it was verbal and visual and in song.
Yes.
Burt Bacharach.
Yeah, Burt Bacharach. He recently died. You know?
I think I might have had a mild, or may still have a mild obsession with Liza Minnelli.
I'd like to hear more about that.
I don't know that I have more to tell about that.
Oh, what kind of obsession?
I don't know. This is like one that I've just like, I don't know. There's just something about Liza Minnelli I think I've always liked. Like, I think maybe that's why I liked this movie so much.
I wondered if it would be hard for her to work, like playing a character that's having to have interactions with such an alcoholic. Like if she was like, Mommy.
Maybe that's why she was so good at it.
I mean, she's pretty good at everything she does. She just kind of has she's got a little charm. The pixie cut, I will say though, they should have cut off the mullet in the back.
I will say that I remember it as a pixie cut, but it was actually a mullet. And also Dudley Moore had a mullet. So there was a lot of mullet action.
Yes, and I'm glad though, because I feel like the 80s had a lot of mullets and they have not come up yet in our mini episodes. So I'm glad we finally got to some mullets.
I mean, I think these are both what you might call a fashion mullet.
Sure. Yes.
That
Yeah.
I've definitely seen coming back, and I'm sad. $100 for a sex worker. That seems real low for a night.
I mean, I don't know that we have to go into that. Do you know how much $750 million is in today's money?
It's a lot, I would imagine.
$2.49 billion.
That's a lot of money, yeah.
Do you know how many seconds? No, how many a million seconds is in days?
No.
How many days
hold
it takes?
On. Let me think about that Rinse song. I don't know.
Yeah. It's 11.57 days. So to get to a million in seconds, you have to be like 11 and a half days old.
Okay.
Do you know how many seconds are in a billion? How long that takes?
Oh my God. Like, I don't know, math times a million times 11.
31.71 years.
That's a lot of money.
I say it because I think a lot of people really think that millionaires and billionaires are the same thing. They are not.
No.
They are not. If it takes
nowadays, a millionaire, like having $1 million is really not that much money.
Correct. Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's fine, but you're not really rich.
Yeah, no.
Like you're not.
I'm not going to kick $1 million out of bed.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm also not going to like buy a jet.
No, I wouldn't buy a jet anyway, but that's a whole other problem. But yeah, so think about that. Like to earn $1 million, if you could just earn like $1 a second, to get to $1 million, it would take you 11 and a half days of working. To earn $1 billion, if you got $1 a second, it would take you 31.71 years to earn. Although no one can actually earn $1 billion because it's ridiculous. Yes.
How much money does the Walton family make every second?
Don't know.
It's a lot. Like they make like $1 million a minute.
Okay. Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure it's something very close to that.
Okay. I mean, are we mad at them in specific? Like, I just think anyone being a billionaire is gross. Like, I don't.
Yeah, no, I do think it's gross.
Not mad at anybody in particular about it.
Oh, no, not going to talk about that.
All right. I do think to enjoy Arthur, you need to have some scotch. So you were doing it right.
Wine.
Or wine. Yeah. Hey, did you know that it was fancy because there were floral arrangements everywhere?
Yes, there were floral arrangements everywhere. Mm-hmm. And I really liked the lemon and artichoke tree topiaries at the engagement party.
Yeah, those were pretty tight.
Fake lemon and artichokes. I didn't know it was fancy because there was Rolls Royces everywhere. Like I feel like to me that was like the height of luxury.
That's ridiculous.
This Rolls Royce and then this like fucking van drives by.
Yeah.
Like who's driving this around?
Were you a little bit jealous of having that like at the bathtub, the radio / switchboard?
Oh, always.
Yeah.
Like in the hand with the soap on it. Like I was like, how don't you electrocute yourself? But also awesome.
Do you think that Arthur needed to grow up or do you think he just needed to go to AA?
I mean, are they mutually exclusive? Like, I feel like he'd have to do one to do the other.
No, I think you could still be childlike and be sober.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, no, that's true. Because I needed to grow up for a long time, as mentioned by the story that we started this episode with. I was not an alcoholic.
We might kill that story. Who knows?
Who knows? Anyways, yeah, but I was also not an alcoholic, despite what our mother believed.
She doesn't even know. She should know.
Like, I'm not an alcoholic. I'm in my 20s.
People talked about Arthur's penis a lot. It came up.
Really?
Yeah.
It came up. Sorry. Why were there armchairs in his bathroom? Like, who's hanging out? And they weren't facing the bathtub. They were facing each other. So who's sitting in a bathroom while someone takes a bath having a conversation with each other?
I don't know how to answer that question. If we start talking about the set design, like There were spears and guns and trophies at the father-in-law's house, and
like suits of armor everywhere.
Yeah, and the grandmother
And
had all that art, and the dad had the like ship wheel. Like he had the most normal thing, but it was like a ship wheel. And I was kind of thinking about that, and I was thinking about like it's like they all were defined by their possessions.
Yeah, well, of course.
And then of course the women are absolute commodities in the film.
I mean, he says my most prized possession is my daughter.
Right. Yeah. Yes. And then, Susan is going to be the wife, and then Linda is either going to be the sex worker or the mistress.
Yeah.
And
hold on.
Yeah. Okay. What? Sorry.
Maybe back to my last thing. Can we just talk about like, if you were going to go to a very high-end department store,
yes,
or clothing store, and you are planning to shoplift,
yeah,
do not wear a giant red cowboy hat and carry a very large yellow duffel bag that has a Ferrari symbol on it.
Well, the Ferrari symbol was like, I have money. I have money to spend here.
And then she's like, I've got money to spend. And it's just like, you're shoplifting.
Yeah.
And a giant red cowboy hat. What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, but anyways, yeah. So what were we talking about? The women. Susan.
Yeah.
What is wrong with her? All caps, multiple written very large.
My question, what does Susan get out of this?
Right? You can forget to call me for months and I'll still love you. Why, bitch? Like, you rich?
Yeah.
Like, is your daddy gonna cut you off if you don't get married? Like,
yeah,
why?
Really...
Like, I kept waiting for them to be like, the deal's off. Like, is there some merger that has to happen? Like, I don't understand why everybody wants them to get married.
Yeah, it didn't make a ton of sense. It felt very forced. Like somebody didn't really think about this a whole lot. It was just super high concept, and that was it. Did you notice that in the arcade on their little first date, there was a computerized sex tester?
No. I didn't notice that.
I don't know what it was testing for, but it looked like really fun. Do you remember going to the arcade when we went to after school care?
Very, very vaguely.
Okay. Was that something you enjoyed?
No, I never liked video games very much.
Okay.
I know you did.
I did. I liked the arcade. Yeah. I was glad when they came back. I don't go a lot, but I like them.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I was too young when they went away.
Yeah.
Like, I like very specific games. Yeah, I mean, like that kind of arcade, I think I like a lot. Like a Chuck E. Cheese type place, which I will never go to a Chuck E. Cheese. Or like a Dave and Buster's. I remember going to Dave and Buster's when we were kids, and that seemed fun.
Yeah. Would you have fun if you went now, though? Like as an adult?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Who else is there?
I don't know. Lizzo. She's going tonight after the show. You're invited.
I will go anywhere with Lizzo. I'd go to church with Lizzo.
Except her concert.
Well, no, I don't want to go to her concert.
Yeah.
I gotta do laundry.
I got some quotes here. You're too old to be poor. That was a nice one.
I liked that one.
Marry Susan and cheat. That was great.
Yeah. With the woman from Queens.
Do we think that this movie should have been rated PG? Or perhaps stronger?
I don't know. I think PG.
Okay.
Maybe PG-13.
It seemed like it had a lot of quote-unquote adult themes. And also people threatening to kill each other.
Okay, well, yeah, there was that. I will say at one point I did think, why the fuck did Mom and Dad let us watch this?
Yeah. No.
Multiple times.
Right.
Because I loved this movie. Like, I've seen this movie many times.
recently, or no? Just when we were kids?
No, it's been a while, but not like as an adult. I feel like I rewatched it.
Wow.
And by adult, I mean over the age of 20, not like as an actual responsible adult.
Yeah.
I liked when it was like, "What do you do?" And he's like, "I race cars, play tennis, and fondle women." Like, are they trying to make fun of rich people?
I mean, he's definitely he's very aware of himself. I mean, I thought it was interesting because there's kind of a tie back to last week. Because you were so upset about Sharon's mother not doing anything, quote unquote, with their generational wealth. Yeah. And then you have the box and whatever the hell's going on with them. And like,
I did say, well, how did they make their money? Like, where did the family Bach money come from?
Well,
like,
there's generational. Because Papa Hemingway was gonna kill Arthur if he doesn't marry his daughter. He said he came from nothing.
Yeah, he
killed a man in his kitchen
11 when he was.
How did that?
Jokes are funny. The jokes in that scene were funny.
The jokes in that scene were funny.
I guess you ate out that night.
Those were funny jokes. It's true. So there is Sir John Gielgud won the Academy Award for his performance, and
he was amazing. I wrote the word goat down. Like, he is literally the goat.
He was great. I love the a certain Eleanor Roosevelt quality. That was a good line. And they all keep saying like, "Oh, Arthur's so lonely. And it's not that Arthur doesn't have relationships, right? He does, but all of his relationships are transactional.
Yeah.
When not to spoil it, but when Hobson the butler dies, Arthur is like, my father died. I mean, that's how he thinks of his butler as his father.
Well, Hobson was like, you're a good son.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they definitely had.
But there was money involved, right?
No, there was. Yeah, he paid him. And then like Bitterman. Yeah. He paid him, the chauffeur.
Yep.
The sex workers. He paid them.
Yes.
Like, he took her to dinner, like at the Ritz. And not because he was like he just wanted company.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they obviously fucked too, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's how they got away with the PG, right? Is it like cut? It's like, okay, we're at the Brits. Oh no, it's the next morning. Like,
yeah. Hobson, stop that. Okay, hold on. Going back to the jokes in the scene when he's with Mr. Johnson. Yes. A real woman can stop you from drinking. She'd have to be an awfully big woman.
That is actually from the scene with Susan. Where
it is.
Where she's eating like salmon or whatever, and he just has a plate with a glass of scotch on it.
That's true. But yeah, I lolled at that. I laughed out loud at that. She'd have to be a really big woman.
That's what Dad said when I was like, "Hey, we're watching Arthur," and he made the Polish joke, which of course I was like, "Dad, come on!" Like, ugh. And then he made that joke, and then that was it.
Speaking of Dad, this is a good segue. The scene where Liza Minnelli's dad starts is more upset about
losing
Arthur
the money
ending it with her is the most Mark Davis thing fucking ever.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Like, God damn it.
Yep.
Can I get you a beer? I'll be
fine. Nothing like a live disco in South Hampton. I'll tell you that much.
Oh yeah, that was a funky party. By the way, do they still have buses in New York? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, of course they still have buses.
I don't know. I don't know. I didn't feel like that was still, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's still buses.
I don't know. Yeah.
It's like London. Like, some of them you can get on and you can see a whole bunch of stuff. Like, if you take the right route, it's cool.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think most people take them to go from one place to another, but as it happens.
Oh my God, the screaming lady. The screaming neighbor.
Oh,
He's
Lord. That was funny.
What? Oh, shit.
I liked when he went over, like, to her.
Baby?
No, when he the baby, but then when he went next door and found Linda and, like, was like, do you know
Perry's wife? Terrible.
That was funny.
He wants to know where Linda is. Get in there, Perry. Get in there. It was. There were funny parts of this movie. Horrible.
I mean, it was hard to tell how much was improvised and how much was, like, written.
Yeah.
I don't know. The guy that wrote it passed away, like, the next year. He had heart failure.
Oh, wow. That sucks. I mean, because it was fun. Like, excuse me. Oh, you're a hedge.
Maybe I just want to watch you do Arthur lines, and I'll enjoy that more.
Okay, I have a legitimate question for you.
Okay.
Would you take the money when he gives her the check for $100,000? I feel like this is a theme that comes up a lot in movies where women are given money and they're like, they choose their pride, won't let them take the money from the asshole.
So here's the thing. There was no expectation of anything with that $100,000. Like, there were no there was not an indecent proposal. There were no strings attached.
Nope.
He was just like, I like you a lot. I want you to be an actress. You shouldn't have to suffer. Here's $100,000. Bitch, take the money and run. Like,
take the goddamn money, right?
Money is not
your pride.
Money is not inherently evil. It's not. It's, it's all about what you do with it, just like anything else in life. Like, well,
he's gonna drink that $100,000 eventually, anyways. Just fucking take it. Yeah, no, okay, good. I'm with you. I was like, I get tired of these bitches on their high horses. Like, I'm taking it in a matter,
like she earned it more than he did, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Like, go find a bunch of shop girls and waitresses and make them all fall in love with all of them, and you can give away all of that money and just, like, give it away. Everybody gets $100,000.
But that's the point. It was her. It was her he was in love with.
Sure. Because there was no one else like that. She was the manic pixie dream girl. That was it. There's no one else like that in New York City.
I know. She does. She did remind me a lot of, and I should have looked her name up, but the actress, she's in Russian Doll.
Russian Doll.
Natasha
Lyonne.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a lot of, like,
cockroach.
Yeah, cockroach. Like, I saw a lot of similarities.
I think you just saw
especially when she's like
a lot of New York. I think you saw a lot of New York and a lot of sarcasm.
Yes.
Yeah. That's cool. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
More Hobson quotes. Everyone is unloved. Welcome to the world.
Hobson's a dick.
Apartment, and he looks around and goes, how revolting.
But then he conspires to get them together.
I know. And then again, with the, like, complete, absolute lack of subtlety, perhaps fate will step in. Here, let me give you the... Oh, my God.
Yeah, no.
I
did like that he kept singing Christmas carols. I'm like, do they not have the rights to other songs, music?
Yeah.
And also, Dudley...
you better watch out.
Dudley Moore was a composer. Like, he couldn't just make up stuff on the fly. Like... It's really weird.
I did like the little thing. I thought it was really sweet when Les Minnelli talks about, when I was little, I thought the moon followed me.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that meant something special would happen.
Yeah.
Also, I wonder, is Dudley Moore the reason I love short men?
I don't know. Maybe.
I don't know.
Is he the reason I don't love short men? Not that I'm anti-short men. I'm rather indifferent.
Okay, one other thing, because I can tell you're getting done.
Was it by me not having my notebook open at all?
Yeah, you're leaning back. You're not gesticulating wildly. You're drinking your water. I can tell you're done with this movie.
I'm out of water.
You're about to say the famous line, I won't talk about this movie anymore. I have nothing else to say. I don't want to talk about this anymore.
In fact, I was not going to say that.
Okay.
I was just going to let you run down like the Energizer Bunny.
There is an aspect of this movie that makes me feel cheated.
Okay.
When he comes into the diner and is like, I want to marry you. And she's like, I've got to change. And he says, I'll cover for you.
And then he didn't do it.
We don't get to see drunk Arthur as a diner worker. Like, God damn, I want that.
Yeah, that would be really funny.
Where are those deleted scenes? Do you think he wants some cheese?
What? The nuts. I did think it was sweet that the grandmother was like watching them and was like, oh, I guess they're in love. Fine. It reminded me of when I used to do theater, David and I had our duo, whatever it was called. We would do Truly Madly Deeply. Like we had a cut of that. And we would do it, and like maybe once or twice we went to like the middle tier, and only one time we went to finals. And it was what happened was we were performing and then it was over and we were the last ones to perform, and our blocking had gotten mixed up halfway through and it had thrown us. So we were like putting the room back and erasing stuff, and the judges were still in there, and we were talking to each other like, oh yeah, that messed me up and that messed me up. And so I think they were like, oh, they actually acted. Like, they're not just idiots. Like, they were trying. Let's send them to finals. Like, it's really funny. And then also, that was a really good weekend for me, because on the way into the finals, there was this, like, a couple of guys behind me, and they were like reading the whatever, like who was on first and whatever. And they were like, Truly Madly Deeply. I hate that one. It's like, okay. You don't have to like it. I enjoy it.
I can't believe that one was so in circulation, because I definitely remember there being pieces where it was like, oh my God. Like,
Sam Shepard. Sam Shepard.
Maybe like it was before after your time, but like there was a year where it was like for color girls who considered suicide when the rainbow wasn't enough or something, and it was just like,
the laying on of hands one.
I don't remember, but I remember that title, and I remember I had like 3 in a round once, and I was like, y'all. And maybe, you know what? Maybe to their credit, it's because there wasn't enough awareness of pieces for Black girls to do. You know what I mean?
No,
like it was like
absolutely.
The literature and the canon is so white.
Yeah.
That it was like, because this is the late 90s.
Right.
97, 98.
Well, nobody else was doing Truly Madly Deeply when we were doing it.
Oh,
I brought that in.
I thought you did, so I don't know why someone would have been like,
No, they were tired of seeing us perform it.
Oh, they were like, those fucks.
Yeah, whereas like with me, it's literally anytime any high school student would try to do Sam Shepard, I was just like, nope, don't. Stop. There's no reason for this. And way too many people did Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead, and they were not very good at it. That was frustrating. Yeah. So it was like, that's a very funny play.
Yeah, I remember the one kid who was like a year or 2 under you and a year above me or something like that, who was like the star. I won't say his name.
Yeah.
And I remember being in a round with him, like an early round, and he like came in late and like did his piece from What's Eating Gilbert Grape, his like 1-man solo version, and then like bounced out. Like it was just like such an air of like, I'm too good to sit in here. Like,
no,
I mean, he was definitely like cross-listed or whatever, so there was like some legitimacy to it.
Yeah.
And then I like had to go up and do my piece about being a fat girl or something.
You had to?
I mean, that's the piece I had. And it was all about being fat. It like started with me killing a cockroach or something. That's what I remember. I don't know.
Good times.
So yeah, the best I ever did was when nobody, like, there was one tournament where like nobody else went, so like all the good people weren't there. So
yeah.
I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do my piece. I'm going to steal this other person's piece that always wins.
Oh, really?
I like actually made it to, but I had it memorized because I'd seen it so many fucking times.
Right. Yeah.
That I just did it, and I think I made it to finals. I don't think I won, but I made it to
My
finals.
favorite was, so a bunch of people like Marcus High were like terrible because they were monsters, and they always won everything. But there was one, and I don't remember the piece, but it was a black guy and a white guy, and it was something where they were like sitting on a bench and playing old guys. And we had never seen them before, and they came out, and it was like that instantly, like, oh my God, you actually are actors. Like, you guys are so good at this. And they did it. They went to finals. They took first place, which qualified them for state, and they never came back. And it was so gracious because it's like they could have just won first over and over. And because a bunch of people did that. And it was like, you guys are dicks. Like, you qualified. Get out of here. Like, give somebody else a chance, sir. So yeah, no, they were like affable and like really cool guys. And I keep thinking like, I wish I kind of remembered them better because I'm pretty sure like they ended up somewhere doing something. Like they were too good not to actually go act, unlike the rest of us.
So this is interesting. Like, it's interesting to me because, you know, we have a theater department, like we have like an arts program, and so they're actually performing The Music Man tomorrow. I'm gonna go see that.
Oh boy, is Hugh Jackman gonna be in it for you?
Oh God, no! Like, just my students, like 2.5 hours long. I'm like, oh jeez.
Oh, it's too long.
Is there an intermission that I can sneak out during?
We cut Othello down to 40 minutes. They can cut The Music Man. You don't need all those songs.
They're like, do you know The Music Man? And I just was like, 36 trombones of the McDray. And they were like, yeah. I was like, that's all I know. And then, like, what's his name? Matthew Broderick. That's all I can. Yeah. So they were laughing. So a bunch of my students are in it, so I'm gonna go see it because, you know, they get excited.
Thank you. That's it for this episode of I Love You But. Join us next week when we discuss Splash, a movie for which Dudley Moore was considered but did not get. What made you laugh? What made you cringe? What did we forget? And what should we talk about in future episodes? We want to know your thoughts. Find us on Instagram at I Love You But Pod and on Twitter at I Love You Pod, or email us at iloveyoubutpod@gmail.com. Listener email and comments may turn up in future episodes, just like this one from our wonderful childhood friend Monique, who heavily influenced the people that we are today by introducing us to things like The Cure. She was the second person to review us on Apple Podcasts, and she gave us 5 stars and said, "These gals are funny." And she says she snort laughed, and we believe her, because why would you admit that unless it was true?
and because we are funny.
Yeah. Hey, be like Monique. Rate, review, follow. I Love You But wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening. I'm Heather.
And I'm Ryan. And we send you lots and lots of conditional love.